I didn't think of an intro for this one. Uh-oh, that's the intro. Okay, let's talk about 4 more books I read. Here we go. The Importance of Being Earnest and Other Plays by Oscar Wilde. This is exactly like it sounds like. It's a collection of plays written by Oscar Wilde. I read this in accordance with the Literary Life podcast. They were talking about the importance of being earnest. They had some interesting information. These plays were really funny. They were much funnier than I was expecting. They sort of expose the snobbery, the hypocrisy of the sort of upper crust in England during Oscar Wilde's time, and it's very biting, very sarcastic and dry, but they are funny. They come across much better than I thought a play would to be read, if that makes sense. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if I have much more to say other than they are really funny. They are some great, social commentary that I think gives you a lot of insight into the time. I think the footnotes, or the endnotes, the endnotes are important because they give you more context than what we have. I almost would like even more context, which I guess is just called Googling things in my own time. But, I'm sure there are some, social cues and things I missed because I don't know this time. But they were really funny. They were really enjoyable. I read them, an act at a time. And it was nice. But I think this was 4 stars. This feels like 4 stars for me. It's nice. You should read them if you haven't. Texas by James Michener. I spent months... Oh, Amber Alert. This book is over 1,400 pages, and it feels like it. It took me months. Which, to be fair, I was going in between books. It would have taken me less time if I'd honed in on this one. But it still took me months to finish this book. This is a multi-family generational saga that follows the history of Texas. So you start in the pre-conquistador age. Well, really you start kind of right when the conquistadors, because your first character who you meet becomes friends with Cabeza de Vaca after his travels into Texas. That's where you start, and you go all the way up until 1983. Yay. So look, the first 3/4 was enjoyable. It's interesting, it's a little melodramatic, but the writing is nice, the descriptions are good, so it's fun, right? I'm not super impressed, but it's fun. And then you get to about page 1200, page 1100, and you hit the 80s, and you spend about 200 pages in the 80s. I didn't need that. Nobody needed that. It was a lot about real estate, some sort of Houston real estate crash. I don't even know anymore. I don't know. It was too much. There were pages and pages dedicated to armadillos. Do I like armadillos? Yes, I think they're quite cute. I've never seen a real one, though, only at zoos. I've only seen dead ones. It was too much information about armadillos. I just wanted to be somewhere else on about page 1300. But at that point, it's a, what's that called? A sunk cost fallacy? It's the sunk cost fallacy. I had spent so much time reading it, of course I was going to finish it. Huh, can you tell? I'm a little traumatized. Anyway, it also started to feel like Game of Thrones. I started to feel like this was actually written by George R. R. Martin. Because every character, this isn't even a spoiler, every character you meet dies in some, horrific, violent fashion. Basically every main character. I just stopped getting attached to everyone. I'm like, well, you're gonna die viciously somehow. This ended up 1,400 pages, months of my time. This was 3.5 stars. 3.5 stars. Huh. So anyway, should you read this? No. I mean, not maybe, I don't know. It was fun. It was enjoyable. The other problem for me about this is James Michener, and perhaps many of his researching writing assistants, takes this, it does some alternative history stuff in here, especially with Cynthia Ann Parker and her narrative. And I don't know, if you don't know that much about Texas history, I think this would leave you with some wrong ideas about things that happened. I don't know, which maybe isn't great. So maybe I guess you could just Google stuff. But will you? I know I didn't. I don't know. I think you have better options, but I also think it's fine. That's where we're gonna leave. We're gonna go. Okay, bye. Absalom by William Faulkner. This was another one that I spent a lot of time in. This is about Thomas Sutpen, a poor man in the antebellum South who finds wealth and marries into a respectable family and then brings about the ruin of his own. This is William Faulkner. The first sentence is about 100 words, and the rest of the book is like that. It's very, I'm gonna say confused, but it's not, the writing itself isn't confused, but it can be confusing. It is sort of like a meditation on history and how we view history and how we pass it down and how we interact with it, which I think that aspect is very fascinating, especially how it becomes, how you get these sort of different interpretations of the same thing, the same event, and how time can kind of confuse your memory and confuse the narrative of history. I think that all of that is very fascinating. I thought this book itself was really fascinating. It's heavy, right? Thomas Sutpen is an enslaver. He owns people, and those people don't get a lot of playtime in here. The enslaved don't get a lot of their own airtime in William Faulkner's version, which is why I appreciated the edition I picked up, which is Norton Critical Editions. Because this, if you can see, where my little pinky is over here, this is the text of Absalom, and then this is all like literary criticism, extra writings from William Faulkner, extra historical facts, historical context, and I found that to be really helpful, especially for something like this. Right, there's a little essay from Toni Morrison, there's an essay from W.E.B. Du Bois, called The Propaganda of History that I thought was really informative and very fascinating. So I like that you get a lot of extra perspectives to add on to William Faulkner's narrative of Thomas Sutpen. Again, kind of like, because I love to punish myself with gigantic books, this takes a lot of time and it's very dense. So maybe only pick up this edition if you, like me, love context and extra information and extra little tidbits. Although you don't have to read everything. You could just read the text of Absalom, and then choose what essay stuff you like to read. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to plow through, but I like to plow through. Anyway, I thought this was very fascinating. It ended up being, I want to say this was 4 stars too. I think this was also 4 stars for me. It was good. I liked William Faulkner's prose. Again, it's sort of circular and you cover a lot of the same ground and you don't, it's like a mystery that you unravel different bits of pieces and it all overlaps and it's very confusing. But it was very good. So I think you should pick it up. There, I'm gonna say it. Let's move on. The Story of the Treasure Seekers, E. Nesbit. What a tone shift. Okay, this is about the Bastable children. There's like 8 of them, 7 or 8 of them, and their father's business fails, and so they set out to restore the fortunes of the Bastable family. This is just a fun, silly little romp about funny Victorian children creating schemes to make money, like making their own newspaper or digging holes for buried treasure, or helping an old man and then he'll give them money. It's fun. This is one I read a lot as a child, so I have the sort of nostalgia filter, which means it's automatically 5 stars for me, even though it's probably not really a 5-star book. But I enjoy it. It's fun. It's silly. It's a good time. It's a quick, easy read. If you want something just like light to pick up that's enjoyable, that you can kind of go like brain off mode, I think this is fun. It's 5 stars, like I said, nostalgia filter. As you can see, we've had some hits, we've had some misses this year already, and those were those 4 books I read. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I think maybe it's time to see what Tiny Zendaya is up to. Tiny Zendaya's reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. That's an interesting looking friend you have there, Tiny Zendaya.